Hi, it's James here at the Sprinkle Donut Forge in Moscow, Texas, and we're gonna do a little something tonight with one of these, of course. I've marked one side of this one so you can kind of see what I'm going for here. This is a cut mark. Cut that through, cut this all the way through, round that end out. I've done some of the cutting on one marked this way with an angle grinder and cutoff wheel. I do not have a bandsaw as of yet. That would be my tool of choice for finishing this out. Anyway, here's what we got, and it doesn't leave too much to have to chisel out hot. So judging by the shape, you can see, maybe you can see what I'm going for. Instead of having to draw this spike way out with a whole lot of turning and hammering to make a stake turner, we're going to fold it out like this and then work on narrowing that material out. So we'll get this in the fire and we're going to finish these cuts with a chisel. I have a small chisel that I recently made and I've used a little bit. And you can see the heat treat is still visible on it. It hasn't become rusty yet, but it's short, so I'm going to be wearing a glove. Let's get this hot, and we'll see you in a minute. Alright, let's get this out. Try to split one side. Watch grabbing your hole fast, they can get hot. See, we're making some progress getting through there. I'm going to heat it back up, flip it over, and split from the other direction. I'll see you in a minute. Yeah, that's a good one. It went right in the forge. Let's see you in a minute. That just split nicely. Alright. That was kind of cool to see the chisel just do the perfect swan dive into the forge, but that was not the desired result, I promise. But I'll probably never be able to do that exactly again in 100 years. You saw it here first, folks. Alright, let's take a look at this split. I think it's cool enough to get a good view in the camera. There it is, it's split loose. You can see through it. Yeah, I think you can. Yep, there you now you can. So what we have to do is kind of finish this end out with the chisel, where when we unfold it, it won't have a big old bump in the middle, hopefully. It lets the forge out later. So we're going to put this end in, get it hot, and try to finish that slot with a chisel. See you in a minute. We're getting somewhere with that. I'm going to go from the other side just as before and try to taper to a little thin point in the middle I can knock loose, and we'll fold this thing out. See you in a minute. Alright, here we go. Say what goes on here. Wishing my heat a little farther. It's going to take one more heat to fully split it. I don't think it's going to be a bad split. So, I'm going to get this back in the fire and we'll see you in a minute. Alright, Here we go again. Second verse, same as the first. Try the little chisel. You know, the one that likes the flying lessons. Alright, we have gotten somewhere with that. We got a little heat left in here. Let's see if we can't start to expand this. Gonna move over to the horn. Better grab it in a better spot. No. Pretty cold. Yeah, it's not moving much. I'm going to use a cheat. If it works, it's really not a cheat. I'm going to see if we can gain a little bit on the hot cut. Getting some expansion. I need to heat this up though. See you in a minute. Alright, we got some heat. Let's try to fold this out a little bit. We'll move to the horn. Now that I can actually get it around the horn. We're sailing around the horn. And there, now we're getting somewhere. See all that rag in there? Well, you probably can't see it because it's still glowing. I'm going to lock this in the vise while I got some heat, and I'm going to hot rasp that rag out of there. See you in a minute. You see what I'm doing? We'll see in a minute. Alright, I've rasped all the rag off, and I used the angle grinder a little bit, being that I already used it to cut the piece mostly. I've got a lazy edge on my anvil, which is what I refer to as a lazy edge. It's a spot where the prior owner has worked around into it, and there was some chipping in this area or some area that needed dressing, so I went ahead and rounded it a little bit when I got it, just to take the rag off. And this lazy edge is what I'm going to be using to open that crevice up. If you do this on the sharp edge of your anvil, such as you see here, it's going to weaken it, and it's going to put some pretty intense marks. It may even act like a hot cut and chop the thing. You don't want that to happen. So I'm going to move you around here and show you the lazy edge of the anvil. Here it is. It's actually perfect for doing a lot of things where you don't need a sharp edge on your handle. So that's where I'm going to be working. So when you're looking at this, when I pull this thing out of here, know that I'm working on that lazy edge to prevent it from chopping into the crevice of the workpiece. So I just thought I would point that out to you. We'll see you in a minute. Alright, I've got a low forging heat going on here. I'm going to go over that lazy edge I showed you, and you can see it did not cut. It began to round it. Now we're getting a cleft, and I don't like that, so I'm going to try to work the width the same, and I'm going to grind / rasp off a little bit of that so we don't get any cold shuts there. See you in a minute. Alright, I've dressed that a little bit. I think I can take care of the rest of it with a hammer, so we'll get it back in. Alright, put that bump face down and we'll give it a lick. I got her straightened out. The bump's not bad. So now what we've got is we've got a rectangle. Much like a piece of 1/4 by 5/8 flat bar with a rail spike head on it. So I don't want it to be rectangle, except in the handle area, because I would like to do a kind of an extreme twist on it. So I want to remain flat there and kind of taper this down and do a long ice pick sort of thing. So we'll see you in a minute. Let's just take a moment while things are heating up to talk about hammers a little bit. Here we have a 2-pound ball peen, a 3-pound diagonal cross peen, and we have a 4-pound cross peen, and we have an 8-pound engineer's hammer. Now, you would think the biggest hammer moves metal faster. It has more mass, and it does do a better job of smashing heavy things into shape, but believe it or no, the 2-pound ball peen has less surface area, so you are able to use a lot more wrist action with it, and you can do most of your forging with this hammer. In fact, this was my first active forging hammer, and I still use it. It comes off the rack every single day. The 4-pound is my go-to for my main forging hammer, although I really want to get a nice one from someone like James Davis over at County Line Forge. He makes really spectacular hammers and sells hammer blanks. If you're interested in making your own hammers, he can sell you a billet of something good to make them out of, and tools to do that with. So check him out. He's all over the internet. Just County Line Forge. Give him a look and see if he's got something you want. Now this is Molly. When Molly comes out, it's not a question. It's going to happen. But swing that all day. It'll kill your arm. So I use this 3-pound because it's kind of the middle of the road between my 2-pound hammer and my main forging hammer. And you can move a lot of metal with it. It is soft face. When I reforged this hammer from a cheap tool store 3-pound, when I heat treated it, I made sure to soften the steel just a little bit. because I don't want it damaging my anvil. I don't want it damaging my hot cut or anything like that. So it's very, very handy to have. And you can see I've put a diagonal twist, which is great for standing off to the side and working in the step. And your peen will be straight while your hammer's at a comfortable cant. So we've talked about hammers enough. Let me clear off the ones I'm not going to use, rack them, and we'll work on that piece a little bit. I have opted to straighten the head on the spike out a little bit to where it's easier to grasp with these 5/8 square jaw tongs, so I can turn it around and do stuff to it. And this hammer indexes real well. I'll show you the 4-pound. Losing some heat, but it's still at forging heat. It's a little wonky. It's not really a great hammer for precision. It does move the steel. There's a lot more push and pull, it's just not as comfortable. As you can see, this one, your eye controls it. You need to find a hammer that fits you that way. Back in, see you in a minute. Alright, let's work on this a bit. And get a little more square. The tip to be square. Alright. Grab it over here with tongs and put it back in. See you in a minute. Not too shabby. There's a lot of meat down here I want to kind of draw down. See if I can get a little more length out of it, and I have to taper it small to be able to create the hook and bend the hook over for a stake turner. Last time I forgot that I was right-handed and I bent the hook the other way. still usable, but not near as comfortable. So this will be my second stake turner and my first time trying the concept of doing the spike this way, which instantly gained me double the length of the spike. So it helped me a lot on material distribution, but it gave me this flat instead of a square. So traditional stake turner is great. This proof of concept, hopefully it'll help y'all out. Let's get it back in, get it hot. See you in a minute. Alright, last heat for the night. This is going to be a two-part video. Here's what we've got, and I will be making the conclusion to this video tomorrow, and we'll see if we can't make a stake turner out of this thing. Now I'm going to set it aside, speak to you for just a moment, and then we're going to close the video out. Let me take my glasses off. Now I know y'all that watch my channel have seen me do forging and made a lot of things out of rail spikes. One of my next projects is going to be something that's going to be a feat of mechanical engineering, and it's designed to help a good friend of mine that has suffered some amputations, his fingers on his right hand, and I'm going to try to design something that's usable as a prosthetic hand. Yeah, it sounds kind of lofty, but I've already got the idea in my mind, and I'm going to make a series of videos outlining how I construct the device, and we'll see if it works. Anyway, it's better than nothing. Alright, that's all I got for this evening. Until next time, bye.